What you're seeing shouldn't be possible. December 15th, 2025.
E 25.
An explosion has just occurred inside Russia's most heavily guarded naval base. A $400 million submarine, invisible to radar, sonar, and satellites, has just been neutralized. But here's the problem. No one saw what did it, no one heard it, no one was able to stop it. For the first time in modern military history, a country without a navy has just disabled a submarine capable of launching nuclear missiles inside a protected base, and Russia's reaction, well, showed something disturbing. Let me explain what happened here, because the more you understand about this submarine, the more impressive what Ukraine managed to do becomes. This wasn't just any submarine, it was a Kilo-class submarine of the Varshavyanka variant. And NATO gave this type of submarine a very specific nickname, Black Hole. And that nickname is no exaggeration. This submarine was designed to be completely invisible. Its hull is covered with special plates that absorb sonar sound. The engines are mounted on rubber bases to isolate vibration. When it's operating only on battery underwater, it's practically impossible to detect. It's like trying to find a ghost in the ocean. But invisibility isn't the only thing to worry about. On this submarine, it carries 4-caliber missile launchers, and these missiles have a range of up to 2,500 kilometers. That means this submarine could stay hidden near the Russian coast, completely invisible, and launch missiles that could hit anywhere in Ukraine. Cities, energy infrastructure, hospitals. Since 2022, Russia has been using these submarines for exactly that purpose, and Ukraine had no way to defend itself, because you can't stop what you can't see. So when you understand that, when you realize that Russia had this practically invincible weapon terrorizing the whole country, what happened on December 15th becomes even more impressive. Because Ukraine not only found this submarine, it caused considerable destruction to it inside Russia's most protected base. And here's the part that nobody expected: the weapon that did it. This is something most people didn't even know existed. Ukraine calls this weapon the Subsea baby. This drone represents an evolution that happened in 3 phases throughout the war. In the beginning, in 2022, Ukraine used aerial drones and missiles. That's how they sank the Moskva, the largest Russian warship in the Black Sea. That worked for a while, but Russia adapted, so Phase 2 came next. Ukraine developed surface drones, the ones that float on water. They were fast and carried powerful explosives. Russia was forced to evacuate its fleet from Sevastopol because of these drones, but again, Russia adapted. They installed steel nets, floating barriers, and had lookouts 24 hours a day. Basically, they created a wall that blocked anything trying to enter from the surface, and that's when Ukraine did something brilliant. If you can't get through on the surface, you go underneath. The Subsea baby is essentially a smart torpedo, a black cylinder with fins about 30 centimeters in diameter. It operates completely submerged, is remotely guided, and can travel more than 1,000 kilometers. Now think about that for a second. Ukraine took surface drone technology and turned it into something that operates underwater. And here's the most impressive detail. The estimated cost of this drone is $400,000. $400,000 to neutralize a $400 million submarine. That's a 1 to 1,000 ratio, like using an economy car to destroy a Ferrari. Ukraine is literally changing the rules of naval warfare with technology that costs less than an apartment. But let's talk about where this happened, because that's essential to understanding the importance of what Ukraine accomplished. Novorossiysk isn't just any port, it's Russia's most important naval base in the Black Sea, especially after Sevastopol became vulnerable. It's located on Russian territory, far from the front line, and it's protected by all those barriers I mentioned. Nets, buoys, constant patrols. Russia thought this place was untouchable. It was the safe haven for the entire fleet, and the Subsea baby went through all of it as if it didn't exist. It entered the base, located the submarine, probably while it was docked or under maintenance, and hit the stern, the back part of the submarine, where the propulsion is. The explosion was massive, and as a result, the propulsion system was completely destroyed. This submarine will never sail again, and here's the detail that makes it even worse for Russia. They have no way to repair this submarine in the Black Sea. Zero repair capability for something of this size and complexity. So in practice, this submarine is dead. $400 million, years of construction, 4 nuclear missile launchers, all rendered useless in seconds. Now Russia's reaction to all this was revealing. The Russian Ministry of Defense did what it always does. It denied it. They said the attack was repelled, that there was no damage, that the submarine is perfectly fine. Even the state television channel Zvezda released a video showing the submarine intact. But here's the problem with that story. The video doesn't show the stern of the submarine, exactly the part that was hit. The camera carefully avoids that area, and there's an even more suspicious detail that a channel specialized in navigation noticed. The submarine is chained to the dock. There's no slack. It's not tied with regular ropes. It's chained with heavy chains. And why is that strange? Because an operational submarine doesn't need chains. It has ballast tanks, which are compartments that fill and empty with water to control whether the submarine goes up or down. A healthy submarine controls this perfectly. You only use chains when there's a real risk of sinking, when the hull is damaged, and you need to make sure that submarine doesn't go to the bottom of the harbor. So, if everything is fine, as Russia says, why don't they show the entire stern? Why the chains? That's not proof of an intact submarine, it's damage control, literally. Even the Russians don't believe the official story. The Russian military bloggers, who are more honest than the government, were terrified. They admitted that there was a massive security failure, discussed how the port's cameras were hacked, and basically confirmed that yes, Ukraine managed to do the impossible. The difference between what the Kremlin says and what the Russians themselves are seeing is enormous. But there's a bigger context here, which makes the timing of this attack even more important.
The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was offered to fulfill the request to join the alliance in exchange for guarantees.
At the exact moment when this explosion happened, in Novorossiysk, peace negotiations were taking place in Berlin. Representatives from the United States, Ukraine, and Europe were trying to reach an agreement to end the war. And reports said that they had reached a consensus on 90% of the difficult issues. It seemed that peace was near, but there was a problem. Putin was using these negotiations to pressure Ukraine. His narrative was simple. Ukraine is losing, it's exhausted, it's at its limit. Russia is winning on all fronts. So you in the West pressure Ukraine to accept the Russian terms now, because if you don't, it will be worse. Then Putin wanted the world to believe that Ukraine had no more tricks up its sleeve, that Russian victory was inevitable. And this narrative was working in some circles, and it was exactly at that moment that Ukraine decided to show that no, it is not on its knees. It just neutralized one of Russia's most valuable assets, using a technology that no one knew existed.
Бажаю здоров'я. Сьогодні Куп'янський напрямок, наші воїни, які тут досягають результатів.
President Zelensky was visiting Kupiansk at the same time, a city that Russia claimed to have completely captured, and he said something important. Achieving results on the front line is essential for Ukraine to achieve results in diplomacy. Strong positions within the country translate into strong positions in negotiations. In other words, you don't negotiate from a position of weakness. You show strength first, then you negotiate. The Subsea baby attack was exactly that. It was Ukraine saying, "Do you think we're finished? We just hunted down a $400 million submarine with a $400,000 drone inside your most protected base, and we still have more." It was about using military attacks to change the perception at the negotiating table. The Ukrainian Navy summed it up perfectly when they called the attack karma. That submarine spent years launching missiles at Ukrainian civilians, attacking hospitals, schools, power grids in the winter, and now it's out of commission, chained up in a port. It will never operate again. That's almost poetic justice. But let's talk about the real impact of this, because it's not just about one submarine, it's about the entire Russian fleet in the Black Sea. Before the war, Russia had 6 of these modern Kilo-class submarines, 6 platforms capable of launching Kaliber missiles from anywhere in the sea. But today, one was completely destroyed in Sevastopol in 2023.
Please.
Two were evacuated to the Mediterranean and can't return because Turkey closed the Bosphorus Strait, which is the passage that connects the Black Sea to the rest of the world. One was just neutralized in Novorossiysk. Only 2 operational remain, just 2. Russia's cruise missile strike capability in the Black Sea dropped by 33% overnight. And here's the most important point. Building a new submarine like this takes 4 to 6 years. And now, with the sanctions, it can cost up to $500 million and take even longer. This is a permanent loss for the duration of the war, and now Russia has a problem that doesn't have an easy solution. Sevastopol is no longer safe. Novorossiysk just proved that it's not where the fleet is going either. The only option left is Akumtir, a port in Abkhazia, that separatist region of Georgia. Russia has begun dredging and expanding the port, but issues remain. The infrastructure is weak, the port doesn't have the facilities to maintain modern submarines, and politically, moving the fleet there, it brings other countries into the conflict, possibly provoking China, which depends on the trade routes that pass through the region. But this attack's significance extends well beyond the Black Sea. This changes the rules of how navies operate around the world. For centuries, navies worldwide held one belief: protected ports are safe places. You can park your most valuable ships in sheltered waters, and they'll be safe. Nets, guards, geography, all of that created safe havens. Subsea baby just proved that idea is dead. If a relatively cheap autonomous drone can penetrate Novorossiysk, no port in the world is completely safe. So while Putin tries to convince the world that Ukraine is losing, reality shows something completely different. Ukraine is innovating faster and is able to defend itself. And each attack like this is not just a military blow, it's a blow. In the Russian narrative, it's physical proof that the story of inevitable victory is a lie. And in peace negotiations, where perception is as important as reality, that matters a lot. The Black Sea Fleet, which was once the pride of the Kremlin's military power display in the south, is now a hidden fleet. Its submarines are damaged and can't be repaired. Its bases are no longer safe. And with each passing day, Ukrainian engineers are developing new ways to make the Black Sea even more dangerous. For Russia, the Subsea baby is not the end of this evolution, it's just the beginning. And while this drone is patrolling the waters, searching for its next target, the 2 remaining Russian submarines know one thing: they could be next. And you? What do you think? What surprised you the most about this whole operation? Leave it in the comments. I want to know if this content added value for you. Share it with someone who likes to understand what's really happening in the world, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next analyses. See you next time.